Hello, I'm Justin Cristelli, and I am making comics. This is going to be the first in a series of me talking about what it's like to be a independent comic book creator. Now, I haven't really been talking too much about this kind of stuff because, well, to be honest, it's been a little quiet lately. I haven't had a chance to really create too much new product in the last couple of years, so I don't like to brag about myself when I'm not doing anything. So, I'm back. And I thought I'd kind of start doing a little bit more, talking about not only myself, but other friends in the comic book industry that are kind of building their own kind of little projects. So I thought I'd get started with me. Now, for those of you who are in the know, I've been doing a comic book for the last few years called Red Knight. And it was originally produced with Primal Paper Comics. I did a short stint with Dead West Comics. But lately, I've been excited to announce that I've signed over to Short Fuse Media, which is a awesome comic book company that's been growing over the last couple of years, and I could not be more excited to be part of them. They're going to do a big relaunch with the book, reprinting all the issues in color, and I am doing conventions again. I'm going to be appearing at Tidewater Comic Con this weekend, and I'm going to kind of take you along with me to show you what it's like. Now, the big relaunch hasn't really officially happened yet, so I had these specifically printed for the convention. Now, they have no comic logos on them. They don't even have prices on them. But I had these printed out for the show, and I was really excited about the prints on these. They're gorgeous. The colors on these, I think, look really good. And I got a new chip reader, and I got a new banner, so I'm kind of all in on this. I have a couple more conventions coming up this year. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to do a fourth one. So follow me, and I'll show you what it's like to do a convention. Okay, now here is some of the new stuff that came out. I have copies of the first 3 issues of Red Knight. First time these issues are going to be done in color, outside of the trade paperback, so I'm really excited about that. I got a brand new chip reader. For last few conventions I've done, I've kind of borrowed a spare one from Lindsay, but I decided to be my own man and get my own, so I'm all set. This is a new banner, and in the past I've had banners with Primal Paper Comics and Dead West, but I needed to make a new one, so I went to a nice website. This, doing a lot for doing your own production work is time and money, but you know what? It's a lot easier than what it could have been. Let's see, here's my new banner. I'm really proud of this thing. Justin Cristelli, Destroyer of Words. I also produce Red Knight, Divita, and Krampus in the Corner. And I just love this image from issue 1 of Red Knight. I think J.C. Grande just knocked it out of the park. I think it's just gorgeous. And I think it's a good iconic type of image to use for him. And I also have some other stuff. I got a pack for the show. I'm also going to be selling copies of Krampus in the Corner and Divita, which is my novel. And these are all my business cards. I do have to update these. These have a couple of bits of information I don't really have anymore. So I'm going to definitely kind of in the near future order some new ones. And that's something you got to realize. Like when you do comic book productions, when you do stuff like this, you're the boss. You do everything. You have to organize, you have to have a budget, you have to work with people that you feel reliable, that can maybe print your stuff. And I'm really fortunate to be working with a new company that is going to take a little bit off my hands. I'm working with some. It's really exciting to not feel like I am not alone, which is pretty helpful. So if you haven't heard of Short Fuse, they make some really good comics. I highly recommend checking them out. So I think that's stage one. We're going to do a little packing here, and then I'm going to start setting up my table at Tidewater Comic Con. Hey, and here is Tidewater Comic Con. This is the night before setup, as you can see behind me, hopefully. And I forgot to get my tablecloth, so I'm going to have to go and buy that tonight. But I have basically what I want set up and how I'm going to have the table to look. I'll have the final thing ready once I come back. So I'm doing issues of Red Knight 1 through 3. I have the Volume 2 trade paperback, which collects issues 4 through 6, and it's in black and white. And let's see, I also have Divita, my vampire novel, and Krampus in the Corner. I also have the dolls available for it too. Yeah, this is from the previous publisher I worked with, and I have a bunch of these copies hanging out. So you know what? I'm going to sell them. So here we go. I'm kind of all set. I just need to get a couple things in place for it, and I'll have that tomorrow morning. So this is day 0. And here is the setup, the morning of Tidewater Comic Con. That's Lindsay's table right there. And you saw me kind of putting together my table a little bit. And here's what she looks like all done. Very happy with it. This banner didn't cost me too much money, actually. There's some really nice websites you can go to get pretty affordable and quality banners. And these are kind of the things I like to do. Like, you know, I like to do like email lists so I can keep readers up to date on what I'm doing. The comics. Krampus in the Corner had some copies, so I did that. Divita, by the way, is available on Amazon right now. And here's a tip. You may want to do little special offers and make things fun. So I'm doing a thing where if you buy one comic from me, for every one you get, you can just pick out of the box for free. Like, hey, I really like Clerks. This comic is pretty amazing, so I'm going to get it for free. And Dr. Horrible and Consummate Cats. And that was pretty much it. I usually feel like I should take videos during the conventions, but I get too into it. I get really into selling a lot and being part of the table. So I always feel like, I can't stop everything and take a video of myself and going, hey person I'm buying things for. So yeah, unfortunately I didn't really do that much. So let me just let you know how things went with Tidewater Comic Con. It was a pretty good show as always. I really do enjoy Tidewater Comic Con a lot. This year, they did the show during Mother's Day weekend, which I think, just out of personal observation, I think it kind of weakened attendance a little bit. Sales were a little bit down. I don't know about, maybe I shouldn't say attendance, but sales were definitely down in the previous years. I've done some really good business at Tidewater Comic Con, the first 3 shows I did. So yeah, I think just competing with the weekend, I think, is kind of hard. A lot of times they do the show later in the month, so I'm hoping maybe next time they will. But I understand how scheduling is. This is a big event, so I get it. And I gotta say, I always enjoy talking to the fans. What I did was I brought my other books too, and that definitely helped beef up sales for me. And that's something I gotta tell you, if you're gonna be a comic book creator and get tables at shows and spend the money, get ready to spend money, because you gotta buy the table. If you're traveling, you're probably gonna get a hotel room, which is big money. And then food. We as humans need food, so, if you're eating during the weekend or if you eat at the show, convention halls are expensive. They make the movie theater look like dollar stores. So, be forewarned. like, a burger and a Coke could cost you like, $20 or something like that. So if you can eat before the show, go do that, and then like load up on food afterwards and eat. But maybe a drink during the show to kind of keep your voice up, because that's the thing. You got to sell, and I was working the table as best as I could. The gentleman next to me, he was doing a really good job. Lindsay and her table buddy Amy were doing quite a bit on their own too. And you just got to be like you got to be professional, and you got to be helpful, and you got to be energetic. I've seen so many people at conventions in the past display all their stuff and just sit back and don't engage people. And I've seen like artists kind of hide behind all their stuff and really not talk to people, and you can't do that. I've seen even writers set up their table and then let their table buddy do everything and just walk around the show. I've seen that a couple times, and that ain't. This is fun work, but it's also work, and you gotta kind of remember that. If you work retail in your past, definitely use that to your advantage. Be engaging and be fun, and that's something that I have to constantly do, and which isn't too much of a problem for me, because those are the things I like to do. I like to be engaging and fun. So at the show, I didn't get too much a chance to roam around, because man, when I show up, I show up to work. And I did get some chances to take a look at, there were some really good talented artists and creators there. And I did one panel. Peter David was at the show, and Peter David is like a big hero of mine. He's actually one of my favorite comic book writers, and is an early hero. In regards of, like, I was already wanting to kind of create comics, but when I started to really get into his stuff, specifically on the Hulk, I really learned that I wanted to be a writer of comics, not just a comic creator. I know that sounds like a thin line, but there is. Like, I really wanted to get into the nitty-gritty of, like, creating stories and characters and building and paying off and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, he's a big influence on me on that. And, okay, long story short, he had a debate with Todd McFarlane back in 93 or 94? Yeah, 93. And this is a long story in and of itself, but he was having a public disagreement with Todd McFarlane and a couple of the creators of the original Image, the original founders. And I went to that, and I saw that. And this actually doesn't specifically have anything to do with what they were debating about, but there was this kind of attitude in the comic industry that maybe writers aren't that important, and artist-writers are the thing. Like, hey, we can spend less money to get this one creator, and he turns out big money and all that stuff, and that was kind of a thing. And I can't draw, so that kind of made me nervous as someone who wanted to be a writer in the industry. And after the debate, I told him that I told him that. I told him, like, I'd been worried that, writers were becoming irrelevant, and, thank you for restoring the faith. And in this copy of But I Digress, which is they don't make this anymore. This isn't public. This used to be a pretty important publication in the comics industry, Comic Buyer's Guide, and he had an editorial in the back of this called But I Digress. He talked about the event. He talked about the whole debate and everything leading up to it and during and all that stuff. And at the end, let's see, really should have marked this. At the end, a young man dressed in a jacket and a tie came up to me and said something to the following effect: "Mr. David, I want to be a comic book writer. I was really discouraged because it seemed like being a writer in comics was useless and irrelevant. Thank you for restoring my faith. I don't know if anything could have made me feel like the whole enterprise was worthwhile, but if anything could, that was it." And I read that, let's see, 22-year-old me read that and was pretty over the moon, I gotta say. So I remembered that a lot. And I had him like sign one of my favorite Hulk comics is this one right here. And I asked him to sign this, and he was like, "Wow, I haven't seen that in a while." And I told him what I just told you, and he was pretty like moved about it. And he said, "So, are you writing comics?" And I said, "Yes. Hey, I got a table over there, man." And he said, "Sure. When I get a minute, I'll come over." And he showed up, talked for a minute about Red Knight, and he bought the first 3 issues, and one of my all-time heroes bought my comic. That's a pretty big emotional deal, I gotta say. I'm still kind of like having a hard time understanding and wrapping my brain around the fact that that happened. So that was really cool. Yeah, it was good. It was a good weekend. Yeah, I made a little bit less than my intended goal, but I felt like I made a few new fans. I got to meet Peter David. I sold him my stuff. I got to meet with some other really talented artists around the thing. I forgot to mention, like he bought one of Lindsay's dolls. I mentioned Krampus in the corner to him. He thought that was kind of funny, and I mentioned my wife made him, and her table was right next to me. So he walked over, saw the little Tom Servo she made, and bought it, snapped it up. What's funny is Lindsay didn't know it was Peter David until he walked away, and I told her, like, "Holy shit, Peter David just bought your thing." And she was like, "That was Peter David?" That was pretty cool. I almost think that was cooler telling her afterwards. Yeah, and by the way, he had the little Tom Servo sitting on his table with him the rest of the show. That was amazing. And yeah, it's a good show. So there are times. What's cool is I sold the first 3 issues separately, and I had people on Saturday. It was a 2-day show, Saturday and Sunday. I had people buy issue 1 on Saturday, and the next day I had like 2 or 3 people come back on Sunday and go, "Hey, that was pretty good. What's the rest you got?" And I had like a couple people buy like the next 2 issues. I had one guy buy like everything else I had. So that's kind of how you do it. And yeah, that's one of the things I have to say. Like, you just have to kind of learn your craft, but also learn how to sell yourself appropriately, and don't be rude, don't be boring, or don't be any of those things. Convention's supposed to be fun for you and them, so that's kind of my recommendation on that. Can you see my little thing? This is a little badge I got, and I really love the Tidewater Comic Con logo, the little shark. Does this shark guy have a name? Did they name him?
I don't think he named him.
It's cute. I really love it. They're in conjunction with a couple other conventions in the area, and they each have like an animal icon, and Tidewater Comic Con has the shark. It's great. It's a smiling, like, anime manga shark. It's good. So that's it for now. I have a show in July, Fantasy. It's at the Chesapeake Central Library in Chesapeake, Virginia. That's been a 1-day show for the longest time. It's going to be a 2-day show, so I can't wait to do that. That's going to be interesting. And after that, I have Monster Fest in October. I'm trying to kind of set up maybe a 4th convention if I have time and money. That's kind of my hope. I'd like to do Virginia Comic Con if that's possible, but we'll see about that. And so, hey, did you have any experiences at this convention, Tidewater Comic Con, or just are you a creator who actually was at Tidewater Comic Con, or just went as a fan? Let me know what you thought of the show. By the way, if you are watching this and you are a creator and you got a survey from Tidewater Comic Con, please fill it out. It really does help them understand what went right, what went wrong, and maybe they can help prepare like a new and improved show next year. It's always helpful to be communicating with the creators on that. So I think that's it. Tune in a couple of days. 2 days from now, I'm going to be dropping a new video, another editorial video about why you shouldn't be panicking about the Thundercats reboot. Really? Push the button, Lindsay.